Hopefully it works.
Awesome, man.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it looks great. I actually really like the fact that you created the 21 pops out of the screen. I might copy that off of you. I really like it.
Sorry, what?
Oh, I really like the way that you did the 21 EMA, where it really pops off the screen.
Uh-huh.
It's such an important EMA. It's like the most critical one. So I really
Oh,
like
yeah.
it. Looks
Yeah,
good.
I'll go over my thought process. So real quick, people in the comment section, can you hear both of us? Can you see my screen? I apologize sincerely. We messed up, we screwed up, and this is the third time. I'm really sorry. And I will share the link with you all.
Looks good.
Yeah, I tagged you, Saty. Do you want to retweet it?
Yeah.
Give us a couple more minutes. Let a few more people join. All right, so how many folks do we have? 81 people watching. 500 likes and 81 people watching.
$69 watch.
Come on, let's get this to 1,000 people.
To get
Share
to 6,900.
Share it with your neighbors. Come on.
Got some drip rookie in the house.
Hey, Leslie.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey.
Leslie, I saw that picture that you posted of that tree. It was very pretty over the weekend. It was really nice.
69 is good.
Oh, man. Hey, we're above 100 now. Let's go.
Let's go.
Can you guys hear us pretty well?
Yeah, can you hear us? Can you see my screen well? All good. Awesome. Is this recorded? Yeah, it's going to be recorded. I believe that YouTube will save the recording. 126. Let's go. Let's crack it today.
Oh,
Saty sounds so
that's just the new microphone.
This is funny. You guys are funny, man. Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna start with first the trades which we were watching since yesterday. Watch list. We had Oxy on the watch list. Now, I didn't alert this on the Discord because we are doing the small account growth and we're focusing on SPX, QQQ related trades. But on the voice, I did tell that, Oxy looks really good. And the reason behind, I'll go through it now. And also, I took the trade on my other account and I'm still swinging it, but quickly go over, let's go over the 5 minutes, 10 minutes chart of Oxy here. So, and I'll enable this ATR level, right? And we are on the day trading mode, and everything else is default. Okay. So now the day started on Oxy. I think the session was around 9:30 right here. And pretty open. We had some sell off here, at the five. If you go to the 5 minute chart, you can see we had kind of this wick here, but it was holding this yesterday's low well. It didn't break below that level. So first key element was that this put trigger, it closed above it, but still there is no confirmation because it's not above the call trigger, which is this blue line here. So we are talking about Oxy, and this is the blue a call trigger for the ATR level, which was around 55.85. So this was the level to be watched, right? And let's go to the 10-minute chart for it now. So the whole idea behind the trigger level is that, if once the candle closes above on the 10-minute chart and the EMAs are stacked, then it's a great entry. If it's stacked on the 10 minutes, it's perfect. If not, then 5 minutes usually is another reliable indicator. So, I was watching it, and we pretty quickly we saw that Oxy ripped, but then it came back here and it retested this level. So this is where I, kind of added some. I didn't get my full fill, unfortunately, only 2 contracts, but it's okay. The idea is that we retested this trigger level, and this was a great input entry right here. Look how beautifully it came back, retested this. And at this point of time, we were this 21 EMA, we have a 9 EMA, 21 and 34, and this is all stacked on top of each other. So, where would you enter this trade? On the break of this level right here, on the break of this level right here. And, I kind of added on the dip. If you go to the 5-minute chart, that's much more clear. So now you can see, right here.
Yeah, that's a great place to add.
Yeah, it was perfect, man. It was like on the 5 minute, we had 34.50. We had the support of the call trigger. So risk was managed by this support area here, right here.
Mhm.
And I got the dip because I was watching the price action and it was holding well. The only issue, which was a little bit scary and why I didn't add the full size, was look at this volume here.
Yeah.
It was kind of nasty volume. So I was like, oh man, it's low risk, and it was Monday. So I was like, okay, I mean, at least as long as this is holding. Then I was watching crude oil on the side as well, and crude oil start to rip around this level.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't add, unfortunately, because I didn't want to leverage myself. I was watching SPX, but overall, yeah. So it went, all the way, retested this level, and after that, into the close here. Let's go to the 10-minute chart again. So if you missed the entry earlier, look again. It did the same thing around this 34.50 on the 10. Very similar pattern here. Consolidating here, and this time again, this was low volume compared to these volume bars, so you could have entered again here at this level. So this is how you basically use the Saty ATR levels. Is once the EMA flips, you enter, or once you're starting to see it flip on a lower time frame, you'll see it much more clear. Is right here. You see that EMAs are starting to flip. That's where you would add. And this is not perfect example for it, but it does bull flag here, right here.
And the nice thing here also is you're showing that there was 3 places to enter the trade, especially because it's a swing trade. Swing trades, you're not always going to get perfect entries. So, you found 3 spots where you can add and scale into the.
Yeah. So yeah, this was actually the perfect ad in my opinion for the next ad. I missed it, but I was holding already from this side, but I missed this entry, my second entry. So if you look here, we had this kind of like a flag formation here, and we had this inside candle here. Once it broke above this, EMA is kind of starting to curl, right? Flipped all, and we had this inside candle. So break of this was the entry point right here, 56.84. And you basically, and then it ripped, and then it went all the way to the look, and where it started to find resistance here. Yeah.
Nice
So
one.
yeah, so Oxy was one we were watching, we were bullish on it. Next, let's talk about the Facebook. All right, so Facebook now, if you watch my yesterday's video, I was bullish on Facebook, and I told that if market rips, watch Facebook at open, or just like watch Facebook, because Facebook, we had a gap up on Facebook, and also we had a lot of bullish activity. If you go watch the video from yesterday, you'll see what I was talking about. So let's look at Facebook from this perspective. Now, Facebook is one thing you need to know about Facebook is that Facebook is a very high momentum stock. What I mean by that is you don't get pullbacks on Facebook as you see on other names. It just takes a direction and then it goes, it's from either it's down or up. So I usually go to the 5-minute chart for Facebook because it's just a high momentum stock.
Yeah,
and sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was saying that's smart, going down to lower time frames when things are just moving quickly.
Yeah, especially at open, because like Facebook, when I saw this candle, I also, you also need to notice the candle sizes compared to the other days, and look how choppy this day was, which was Friday, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And look at these candles, pretty much small volume candles. And when you see this one, right? And when you're looking at this, you're like, wow, look at this compared to the other candles here. Definitely something is cooking. And especially with our thesis about this whole bullishness on Facebook. And so on this 5-minute chart, if you rewind and if you go to the replay section and look at this now, and I'll do it a little bit lower speed. So now you see how it opened, and let's see. See, hopefully this works. Yeah, so pause right here. So you see this candle here, right? And you see this is the trigger level. And you see how this trigger level was holding well, and this EMA. So if you're a momentum trader and if you're like fast with hands and you're fast, you could have had one entry here with a tight stop loss of this level here, right? This EMA. And then it just kept going. We don't need to show the whole, but yeah, so it kept going, didn't even have one single pullback. And these are hard to trade. Definitely won't recommend to someone who is just starting out. Usually me and Saty both prefer that it's 10 minutes we see a pullback to this level, but something like Facebook, it's sometimes it's not possible to do it. Sometimes you just have to pull the trigger, and you could have by keeping a tight stop of this 202 level. So it doesn't have to be always the same way. It just depends on your personality and the stock's personality. And let's say you missed it, right? Let's say you missed the entry initially and you didn't want to chase. We got another decent entry here, and look, it went all the way here. We kind of started to see resistance around this area, which was +1 ATR, and it found the support here, right here, the half mid-fib level. And this is where you could have, and it was holding this 9 EMA on the 5. This is where you could have added one position. I also told folks that wait for the break of 209, and risk reward was getting a little bit less and less favorable. At least around this time it was less favorable. And then later in the day we start to see here again, look, this right here, this area. So you missed it. You don't have to take market open orders, but look right here, we start to see it, this level start to hold well, right? And as soon as you, on the 5-minute chart, as soon as you see this 9 EMA take over, it flipped, it crossed. So that means the price is showing strength now, and 21 is curling up, 34.50 is curling up, and we had these 3 inside candles here, right here, this area right here. You see this zone here, you could have entered on the break of this level. Again, You
Yeah.
didn't even have to catch the dip. You don't have to get in the business of catching the dip. And how you manage the risk, you have a stop here. Since it's Monday, a wider stop will protect you because you still have time in play hands, right? So if you get around, you could have gotten around this area, stop of this 1 point stop, 2 point stop, and the reward is all the way up to the high of day. And that would have been another solid trade. And look at how beautiful it was. On the 5 minute chart, we are seeing this candle, and then we had this inside another indician candle. Usually that's where either it breaks down or breaks out. And so the way you could have traded this was, let's say you miss this entry as well. You break off this, you enter again. That's why you need to be very fast with it, because premiums move. So that's when I start switching to the 1 minute chart, because if I want sniper entry, if I miss the initial entry and I want to still get in the trade, right, I will look for a pullback to the 9 EMA on 1 minute chart. And that's what here you saw here. This was holding, and you snipe again. So many ways to enter the trade. And I know in the hindsight, it looks easier, but when you're actually watching is much tougher than it looks right now.
Drippy, there's a question for you. What's the main time frame that you look at when entering through ATR levels?
10 minutes, but it depends on the stock. Like Facebook, I'm watching 5. I always have 5 and 10 flipping through. It's easy on TradingView. All you have to do is 5, and all you have to do is 10. So it's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm the same way. I start on the 10 for trend. 10 is my trend time frame. And then I'll zoom into the 3 minute.
Yeah. We can even look at 10 minutes, right? We don't even have to look at 5. So look here at the 10-minute chart here, we see 9 taking over 21 here. So this right at this area, we're seeing 9 taking over, and the volume is starting to kind of build up here after this low volume phase. And you could have entered around this area as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So those were the trades which were basically from the watch list. And these were not really alerted on the Discord. I'm going to talk about the main trade, which was SPY or SPX. So let's go on to this trade, SPX one. And sorry, I have just too many zones here. So let me hide all the drawings for here. One sec. Quickly, let me tell you briefly what I was looking for. So let's go to the monthly chart for SPY. Right. Now, notice here on the SPY, this is the 21 EMA, by the way, on monthly. Now, notice here that since the COVID crash, we didn't really test this 21 EMA on the monthly. So my thought process initially during the day was that, if we see price coming towards this monthly EMA, either it's going to consolidate, and if it breaks below that, there's very high chance we might undercut this EMA. It's untested EMA. There will be dip buyers under it, and we didn't really have anything super negative in the day for the news. We know we have FOMC, but market already is sold off already. So that's something to consider. And we are relying on price action also. So now this was one of the main reasons why I was like, puts, this is not a good risk reward. Because things can change real fast. So this was my main kind of theme for the day, was watching this monthly 21 EMA. And this was for SPX around, if you zoom in here, it was around this area right here, around 41.35, around that area. So let's go to the lower time frames now. All right. So our day started right around here, and I'm gonna switch on the ATR modes. Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit. All right, so let's see what happened here. Excuse me. So day opens here. We see this put trigger level being respected. It's not breaking below it. So price goes, retest this EMA, fails, comes back. And now this is where I was hoping that it will hold and we'll see continuation to the upside. Didn't happen. So we got stopped out of the first trade, and then it kind of went all the way to the put trigger. And now notice here it was consolidating on the put trigger again. And then I thought, okay, let's just wait now. The volume was super, super low, not really good price action on the 5-minute chart. I wasn't convinced to enter anything on the puts or calls. But saying that in the hindsight, and I know a couple members from the Discord did take this trade, and congrats for identifying this, but I wasn't convinced on the short side, as I told you guys. But so what they did was, first, they saw this rejection here, it went to below the put trigger, it retested this level, look right here, right around this area, this right around this area, right? We see this kind of rejection, and this is where was a decent entry, and I was watching this as well, but I wasn't convinced to enter. But if you entered this would have been a 100% zero DTE trade, because it went the distance all the way here, and actually it went below much further all the way until here. So there was one use of Saty ATR indicator. So Saty, I want to know your thoughts about this, and how would you have played the SPX?
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead. I think I've allowed you to. You should be able to see it, directly share it. And then I'll go switch over and then finally do the trade recap of what I saw.
Sure. It's saying it's disabled, so maybe take a look at the setting again.
Really?
Yeah.
I cannot do it without stopping the share, because it's
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we can just talk about it. So if you could switch to like a 10-minute, I can start talking about it from.
Yeah, just tell me the time frames, and I'll
Yep.
disable the drawings here.
Yeah, so that's perfect. So, at this point in the beginning, is this SPX or SPY?
It's SPX. Do you want me to change to SPI?
No, this is fine. So you can see at the very beginning of the day, everything's stacked down. We've got our 512 stacked above the price action. We've got the 3450 at the very top. And so, this is a bearish chart, right? From a golden trend perspective, we're below the 3450 and we're cruising down the 512. But we never break that put trigger. We break the 512. We retest the 3450 right where Drip's got his icon, and then we sort of come down
right here.
So at this point, it's bearish, but like you're just going to get chopped out. And I know a lot of people got chopped out today across FinTwit, across everywhere. I even drew I do those funny Chopzilla images whenever that sort of thing happens. And, this was tough. This was tough price action to trade. We didn't, we had trend, but it wasn't clear the price was going above and below the 512. It gets really difficult to trade. So, by the time it got down and it was consolidating at that put trigger, that's where things start to get interesting. Okay, well, if it breaks to the upside and we break over the 3450, that could be an interesting trade to the upside, which of course we got later. But you could have taken a downside trade here on the retest of that put trigger, failed retest of that put trigger after the break. So it breaks down, you get that green candle, you could enter on that green candle, but it's not a pullback. So you'd want to wait for the pullback. You get a pullback to the rejection of the put trigger. That's a great place to enter puts if you want.
Right here.
And you could, right on the rejection, right? Just above that. Yeah, right
here.
At the rejection.
Yeah, right here. Good risk reward, because you can manage it right at this level.
Exactly. Yeah, you could do it there. You could do the 21, depending on your risk and depending on the strike and expiration that you have, or zero DTE. So you could take puts there, and then you could ride those down. I always take profit if I'm at the trigger or close to the trigger. I always take profit at the mid range. That's always one of my profit targets that I'm looking for.
This one.
Yep, exactly. So you could have ridden that down. I did do a retest of that 8-9 again, right before that big red candle, just a little bit before that.
Right
yeah, right there. Exactly. Yeah. So that may have scared you a little bit, but it made it down to the mid range, and you definitely could take profit there. Of course, you could have left runners and then left a stop at the mid range, the worst case scenario, or you could have left a stop at the 5 or the 8 or the 12. It's up to your risk again. And then when it breaks over that 512, that's when I would have zoomed in to like a 3-minute, or you could use a 1-minute or 5-minute. So if you want to zoom in, do you have a 3-minute on here by chance?
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. This
Right.
is 3 minute.
Yeah. So the 3 minutes really nice because the EMAs move quick. And so you can see that they stacked up pretty quickly. It breaks right over that 512 and right over um, that 3450. And so at that point, I'd be pretty comfortable taking that trade, especially with the volume that we started to see. There was a massive amount of volume picking up right there. If you look down in the bottom. So I'd be okay with taking a trade right there.
Are you
As
talking about long or short?
long. Yeah. At that
Around
point,
this area?
yeah, at that point, I'd start to think about going along.
Right.
So you could wait, like you wait for it to go retest the put trigger. And of course, it went up there, it went above it, came back and retested it, and then started moving up. And I would have been fine taking a trade right there along, like just going long, and then take some profit when it went to the previous close, take some more profit when it went to the call trigger.
Right here.
Others, and then
Right.
let it go to the call trigger. So ultimately, Ian, I love that you use that. You wanted me to come on and talk about this particular example because this is not necessarily a straightforward put or call example. Like you were mentioning, it wasn't straightforward to take puts on this. There were lots of situations where you could get chopped out of. Obviously in 2020 hindsight, we can see there's a good spot that to take puts on that retest to the put trigger, but what you can do with these levels is you can just use them as support and resistance, which is, what we do that all the time as traders. So it can, even if you're not using the triggers per se as triggers or as ideas for going, directionally long or directionally short, you can still just use them as levels. And you'll see consolidation occurring at these levels, rejections occurring at these levels, bounces occurring at these levels, and then you can just take trades based off of that. And of course, trend is key. So making sure you can identify the trend and using that to your advantage, can definitely help.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so like a couple other things now. Why did I got in this trade around this area right here, right? So I was watching 1 minute chart on
that's because you're a gangster.
For real, man. Yeah, straight gangster.
You were watching that demand zone like a hawk.
Yeah, so let's go to the 4-hour chart because I'm you know that for me demand zones and supply are much more of importance than support, resistance, and anything else for that matter, right? So this is in my video actually a couple of days back. I talked about right at this level, right? So this area.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You see here, we have a gap here.
That's the last line of defense before that gap.
Right. And we have a gap here, and we have this zone here, and this is untested. There were bids here which filled when this sold off.
Yep.
So these unfilled bids, the idea behind that is these unfilled bids will still be there. And that's where buyers would step in is the idea. Now, does it mean it will happen always? Not necessarily, but a good area to consider if you are in puts that I shall take profit now and I don't want to get chopped up in this, right?
Too much risk.
Right, too much risk. Yeah. So I'm watching this area like a hawk, as you said, right? So I go to the lower time frame, right? So I'm looking at this now. Now look how perfect this is. And I'm watching this area. We have this line here, and I go to the 1 minute chart. Like to get a sniper entry, you need to have 1 minute. Right. So I'm watching this. And the reason, first of all, why I didn't enter a 0 DT was look at this chop. Right?
Yeah.
It's just garbage. I don't want to get chopped up. So
premium killer right there.
Right. Premium killer. You're seeing this sell off and then boom up, sell off, boom up. So I'm like, no, I don't want to. And so now I'm looking here, and then, so remember during this time of the day, this was around 242. Around 242, and I saw this sell off, right? And I'm looking here, and I'm like, oh, I think it might continue down, right? Because we have new low of day, and we are still in this channel. So I thought, oh shit, if this breaks this channel, things can get ugly real fast, right? So I'm looking at this, and I saw this candle here, right here, right? And I saw this. And around this area, I actually entered because it was in my demand zone. It was a super low risk. So I entered the SPX 4250 call for tomorrow expiration, and I got a fill price of 0.7. So around this area, when I saw this green candle here, I was like, okay, I'll take the risk. I'll enter here. And it's low risk. My risk was 50%. So $35, risking $35 on a $70, risking only $35 to potentially make, I don't know, $90 was my target for this per contract. So I saw this, and after that, we saw this candle. So by the time I was typing the alert, this thing goes boom. And after that, we saw another. But now look at this trend line resistance here, right? Look how beautifully these act as resistance. And looking at this, I was like, it got rejected here, but this was another entry point. So this was actually a better entry point, much less riskier, because it was retested this level again. So the premiums went to 0.75, so $5 more than my entry. So you could have entered around this as well. And after that, it just broke this level. And if you notice on the 1 minute chart, if you zoom in, it did retest this level again. It broke and it retested the 9 EMA, and you could have entered here. And let's look at the Saty ATR level. Look where it found support here, right here. So this was again another entry area. So around this area you can enter, and then next thing you know, we have a 9 EMA retest, and then boom, and then it pulls back to the support trigger again. This was another entry. So I took I think I took a lotto position around this area or this area, I can't remember, but I was in the trade all this time, and we took profit at 100%, and then we let the runners run, and overall pretty solid move, and the volume was increasing. And I kept saying that, I always think about how the day will close. How the days will close matters a lot. So we have a monthly candle here. How the day will close matters a lot. And notice how last couple times, this is how the sell-off, look, we had a sell-off, how the day closed. We saw this aggressive capitulation here, and then sell off. And this is not just one time, we have it a couple more times here. And I kept saying during the day that I think we might see a gap up tomorrow. And this was the reason why I kept saying that. I mean, it's not, everything is calculated when I think about it. Like, it's not just like random guesswork that, okay, why am I saying it, and
you're the luckiest man in the world if that were the case.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then, so now we have a nice hammer close, right? So tomorrow we're watching this above 4167. And then, we might retest this area here on the 2-hour chart. If you see here, this is the resistance. So if it hits there, 4175, and it gets rejected, we are in for a more pain. But if not, then we'll most probably retest this area right here, the 4300, and which happens to be the this area right here, around 42.25 first. So in my opinion, we might retest this monthly 9 EMA.
Yeah, take a look at the 1 hour chart with multi-day levels, just so you can see. That sort of verifies your 4300 thesis as well, if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, right. Here you go. And then which level?
Oh, the multi-day.
A multi-day. I'm on multi-day.
Yeah, multi-day on the
1 hour.
1 hour. Yep.
Yeah, I'm on 1 hour. So you're talking about this one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so 4300. So makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So so again, look how beautifully these levels align. So we're watching this 4172 tomorrow. If it breaks above that, and if it gaps up, I would personally take profit at open and then wait, because gap ups usually sell.
Yeah, exactly.
In this market. So that's pretty much the idea behind the trade I had today. And I was kind of not convinced with the sell-off, because on the tape, I was kept looking on the tape, and I kept seeing these orders. And another thing to notice here on the unusual whales, right? If you go to the flow for SPY and you go to the intraday page, this is the new feature. It's called COPE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was cool. I saw you talk about this over the weekend. It looked awesome.
Yeah. I mean, so I kept talking about it, but I feel like people were getting bored of this on the Discord.
They can just cope.
Right. It's like, what is this guy talking about? Right. But so I just wanted to point out that this is what I was looking at. This resolution is not making sense. But
yeah,
look at this. Around this level, we start to see COPE just taking off here. This means that there's trend up. Put selling is going on, or call buying is going on, either way. And as soon as that happened, we see the price kind of follow through. Yeah. And this is what I was watching actually along with, and I kept talking about it, but I think a lot of people got bored of it. But anyway, so I was watching this as well, and I thought, okay, well, wow, that is interesting. So that's just one more data point to kind of think about it. And if you look at the bullish bearish premium here today, volume was actually more on SPY, and we have more than 50% bullish premium. And so yeah, all these data points I was watching, and kind of that was adding to my thesis today.
Nice.
Yes, and I took the trade. It was pretty good. Felt pretty good after it, honestly. I think this was last 2 weeks. This was probably one of the better trades I took on SPX.
A couple questions for you. One person mentioned that the hammer 5 days back didn't work out very well. So I don't know if you want to look at that. And
1 second. So daily chart, which one? This one?
yeah, I'm not sure. They were talking about maybe the last 5 hammer closes that we had where I was
I can't really.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Which day are you talking about?
Robert, can you mention what can you expound upon what you were thinking?
The hammer 5 days back didn't work out well. It wasn't Thor's hammer, man. That's why. This is Thor's hammer.
There's another question about COPE. What does COPE stand for?
Oh yeah, I won't go in detail, but yeah, that's a completely
Unusual
different
Whales
topic.
has Unusual Whales has a video on it. I think on their YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, so when you click on COPE here, you see a thread here, and there also Twitch. So it's cumulative options premium effect. And I'll make a separate video on this, but I need to understand how it behaves personally to do it, because it's not, I'm also learning how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to be wrong. That's why I'm not, talking about it much.
We also have some oversold signals on that in that demand zone. So I mean, it just seems like a bounce is possible, especially with this sort of bearish market that we're in. You always get these nice rips up. Even if you're headed down overall, you're still going to get some moves up to the upside. And so we want to capitalize on that.
I think he's talking about this hammer.
Which one?
Right here. This one on 25th of April.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on the daily chart here. Yeah. And he's like, that didn't go well. And
yeah, this isn't a demand zone that might have a bigger effect on it. I don't know.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, we made profit. We are just on house money. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It won't matter. And is there any other question?
I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions for us? Is COPE actually nope?
Is COPE actually nope from Lily? I saw that UW bought it from her and her team. I think both are separate. I don't really know about nope much, but I think they're different. Am I taking profit on SPY first thing? It depends if it gaps up, what goes on. We'll see. I asked how to identify the reversal. In this case, if you go to the 5-minute chart or the 10-minute chart, you could see here. You could see here this was a reversal point. EMA turned to the green, flipped here, and then 29 and 21 flipped. Usually I look for 921 flip on the 5-minute, and if it's holding with volume, that's where I think that's the flip. That's the trend reversal. And also we had this this trend line here. Sorry, it's already drawn. This trend line which broke, and that was another confluence.
Somebody's asking, can the 8-13-21 EMA work as well? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 8-13-21 are similar. They can work as well. It just depends on what you're familiar with.
Yeah, exactly.
The lower EMAs you get, the more fake outs you'll be. The lower time frame you get, the more fake outs you might have. So just keep that in mind.
And 8, 13, 21 are all fib levels. So those are pretty standard EMAs that are used by a lot of people.
Yeah, Ripster also uses the 813, right? Because I can see here the 8.
Sometimes he'll use the 13, typically uses the 8, 9, and then the 5 to 12. I don't know. But he says you can use the 13 as well. So it's fine. That's just one number off. So it's yeah, totally fine. These are
It doesn't
acceptable.
matter on small time frames, honestly.
John Carter uses all fib levels. So, and he's been trading, making millions of dollars every year. So I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You just have to be familiar with it and be able to identify the patterns. That's ultimately it. It's just repeatable patterns that you see based on your system. And so Drippy has his system and I have my system. Some of the things between our systems are very similar. And so we're just used to it. That's what we see. And so that's how we identify things.
Yeah.
And some of the things that he's talking about today should be in everybody's system, like supply and demand, support and resistance, basic patterns. Those are all things that everybody should be able to utilize.
Yeah, and also another thing to note on reversal is that you start to see some kind of curling always, for some time. So, for example, from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock, and remember, I've always told everyone that time is the level, and in this case, look where the breakout started on the lower time frame. Look. Yep. I'm not kidding. It's 3 o'clock. It's not a joke. It's 3 o'clock.
Power hour for sure.
Yeah, because international markets close open around this time. So we always have to be aware. So this was not randomly called because I was watching at 2:45 and I thought, okay, this seems like a decent risk reward combining all these factors together. And this trade could have failed easily.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it worked out well, though.
It had not a lot of nice confluences that you found, though, that were working for it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the risk reward was great.
It's all about thesis, right? Like how you build your conviction. And someone with put side would have a conviction for the top side, right? That on the 10-minute chart, you could have taken put as well, 34.50, as you said. It rejected here, and nice little fade here. And someone from the Discord actually called it out as well. And they made money on this. I was a little bit hesitant because the trend was to the upside. So, but yeah, it worked out well for them. So congratulations. Everyone sees the market differently. It's just a matter of a risk reward, how you want to manage it.
So somebody's asking about current close. So I use current close only. I typically only use it on the day mode if I'm trying to project levels out for tomorrow and I'm planning trades for the next day. You can also use it on the last day of the month. The last day of the week for multi-day mode, the last day of the month for swing mode, and last day of the quarter for position mode. But typically you want to leave that off if you're going to be using the levels live. Right. It's really just to project out levels when you're at the end of a period.
Mm-hmm. And I want to point out one more thing is that, hammers are usually good sign on a higher time frame that we might see a reversal. So I saw this hammer, but it got rejection here, right? And it got rejected. Yeah. So it was a failed breakout. But then again, look at this level here. It was a hammer. And then look where it closed, I mean, again, very similar pattern here. This candle got rejected, but the next one, it opened and ripped through it, unlike this one. So that's another thing to consider is that, if it breaks above this level and holds this level, so you could have entered right around here as well. Many ways to enter the trade. It all depends on your risk tolerance, how you want to enter. You got to lose some money to make some money in the market, unless you already know what's going on, unless you can see the future.
And I think your point that you just made a little while ago, was very important. You building conviction, and that conviction will let you hold the trade. And if you have a fixed stop loss, you're okay, no problem. You get stopped out of your trade, no big deal. But you've built conviction. You think you know what's about to happen, and you just let it play out. And when it doesn't work out, okay, no problem. You cut the trade and move on to the next trade. But if it does work out, you take your profit, leave runners, take more profit. You can thank the conviction for that. And so building that conviction, I think, like you said, is really critical to being able to hold. in
Right.
trade. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this question here. So you don't want to use that when looking for swing in multi-day mode. Use what? Yeah, there's a point here that if a hammer is followed by another bullish candle, it's a good sign, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the best case scenario. But it doesn't pan out always like that. Yeah, so even in this case, you could have entered the trade right here. Like, let's say that you were thinking around that time that we'll see a reversal, right? Around this area. You could have entered the trade with a stop of 4101. And if you got stopped out, then you got stopped out.
No
You
big
try
deal.
again. No big deal. I
Yeah.
mean, like, your thesis was right. And it happens. And this was right around 1 o'clock. So um, it happens.
You know,
And the
I think a
same thing
lot of
happened around here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time people will not build convictions in their trades, or they're chasing. They see something happen, or somebody calls something out, and all of a sudden it's moving, and they jump in, and then things don't work out, and then they have to cut their trade at a loss, and that can be disruptive to your emotions. You and Swing Pony were talking about this in the podcast. I finally got caught up today, during the middle of the day chop, and you guys were talking about this. It can wear on your emotions. You do a couple trades like that, and now you're feeling bad. And what you need to do is build conviction and have a trade plan. And if no matter what, even if you take the small loss, it's no big deal. You get back on the horse and you try again. Maybe there's another trade in this ticker. Maybe there's a different ticker. Or maybe it's time to just take a break and walk away and come back and get some perspective. But there's always going to be another trade. And that's why, like Drip and I are both like very much anti-FOMO. There's no point. We see millions of trades. There's millions of trades. You don't have to chase this one. You don't have to feel scared. There's always going to be an opportunity down the road. There's always going to be an opportunity, whether it's SPX, SPY, QQQ, whatever it is, Apple, doesn't matter. There's going to be opportunities across the board.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, I know a lot of Discords, they alert a lot of trades, but I'm trying to kind of change that for my Discord now. I'm trying to alert less, but focus on couple quality trades in the day so that we feel good at the end of the day that like I didn't just junk traded and traded everything and anything. And when market was hot, that was working really, really well, because everything, all, like, we had nice follow through. Like, for example, we traded Walmart for a couple of days and we had really nice follow through, but it's not happening right now in the market. So we need to be conservative and we need to trade accordingly. Yeah. So someone asked me what was my stop in this case. So since I was trading zero DT, next DT, SPX way out of money contracts, I was willing to lose $35 per contract, for example. So just risking $35, and this contract went to 3.9 at the end of the day, around that. So risking $35 to make 350, that's 10-to-1 risk reward. Right. And my goal was to make 3-to-1. I try to enter something which at least has 3-to-1 risk reward. I see it as potential 3-to-1. Anything more than that is a gift.
Yeah, it's perfect. So somebody said they had a hard time entering the SPX call. The trend had been to the downside the entire day. So many times I've seen the trend to the downside, the trend change momentarily. Yeah, you're just looking for trend confirmation, John. You just want to wait for the trend to shift and then to feel confident about it. And I think what Drippy did here, which I think is very compelling, like, I think he builds a really good story around how he wants to take a trade, and ultimately I think that's the most important thing, because that story will give you conviction. It'll lead you to the place that you want to be. He saw multiple confluences showing that it's going to shift to the upside. And then when he got, he got trend confirmation. So it added even more conviction. But you can wait for trend confirmation. Sometimes, because the EMAs are lagging indicator, that may take a little while, and you can see it here. You didn't get full trend confirmation for a little while, so you may have missed a little bit of the move, but you certainly could have gotten into it. Drippy's is a sniper, so he's getting in at an an optimal a spot, but you can definitely wait for trend confirmation.
Yeah.
It's
For
very
example, it's a great point because, for example, I personally never recommend to the members and also to beginners to spot reversal plays
Yep.
because they are extremely difficult to first spot. And as I said earlier, I would not have entered this trade if not for that demand zone which I was watching, if not for that monthly 21 undercut theory which I had, if not for VIX. Another thing I shared with the members that time was that watch out for VIX is approaching a key supply area right here.
Mhm.
Look, right here. I shared this image during the day, and that panned out perfectly because it was right
Yep.
in the supply area. So I'm watching all these things and then coming up with a plan. It's not just because I am seeing a potential reversal on SPX on a 5-minute chart. It's not compelling enough. I need to have more evidence for me to go long. And another thing is that as you start to watch price action, as you start to watch the tape, you start to see like there's something odd about the price action that you and it, of course it's not going to be always work out in your favor. Like I have been losing trades as well, so it's just yeah, as I
But your losers are small
you
compared to
cut
your
them.
winners.
Yeah, you cut them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to enter the trade at this level as well. Like, for example, what John said is a great point. So you didn't have to enter the trade. You could wait for the confirmation. Let's say that what would be the trend reversal confirmation in this case? It would be the break of the first resistance area, which was around here, at least on the higher time frame. On a shorter time frame, it would be around this area right here. This first high it created, it broke,
Yep.
it retested this area, and that would be the trend confirmation on a shorter time frame. On a higher time frame, it would be this level right here, and it broke through that level as well. So multiple ways to kind of see trend confirmation. Everyone has their own way of determining. And I also tell people that when I say my stop is 50%, it doesn't mean your stop has to be that. It's just everyone has a different risk tolerance. You need to find out yours. And I'm willing to lose $35. I mean, that's cheap. Let's say if I only entered one 4,300 call instead of 4,250, right? That was only $35 at that point of time or lower. So that would become a lot of play because I'm willing to lose it all. So it's all a matter of your tolerance.
Somebody's asking if we use the squeeze a lot all the time.
Squeeze them up. Yeah, I like squeeze a lot. Man, we talk about it all the time. Squeezes are the best. I mean,
you want conviction. I mean, there's not much more than having a squeeze on a daily chart. It's like the best thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, we use it all the time on higher time frames, lower time frames, everything. Especially when we swing like drip. I know that's one of the big things you use for swings too, is just making sure it's in a squeeze.
Oh yeah, I use it all the time. I mean, that's why I was watching the crude oil, right?
Exactly.
I talk about it in my weekly setup as well. I mean, it's beautiful. This daily squeeze here, and then the 4-hour squeeze. 4 hours not there. Sorry, daily is there. 4 hour was there on some other chart on Oxy. So this was. I don't want to go in depth on this one, but I mean this I cover in my weekly setup video. That crude oil looks like it might retest this area 115, and then we might see a movement and we decide where the market's going towards.
Yep.
And the Bitcoin, BTC. Look at BTC now. Oh no, my bad.
Yeah, I was getting confused on TradingView as well.
Yeah, Bitcoin is also on a daily squeeze here. And,
exactly. Yeah.
but Bitcoin weekly chart looks ugly. It's on a weekly and daily squeeze, but it's a bear flag right now. No confirmation either direction.
Could fire to the downside too.
It could, but look, notice another thing here. Go to the monthly chart of Bitcoin. Look where it is.
Oh yeah. Yep. Could bounce there. I mean, we just wait and see what happens and then we'll play it.
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin has actually tested this EMA a couple of times, so it's weaker now. Our supply, our demand has weakened here because people have bought dips here. So I think a retest of 40,000 will tell us what's next.
Yeah. Somebody asked, from a technical standpoint, do you pay attention to the 10-year yield? Absolutely.
Yeah, we talk. I mean,
is like VIX for QQQ. That's the way I think of it. It's like VIX is to SPX, is TNX is to NQ or NDX. But yeah, we definitely look at the 10-year all the time.
100%. We have DNX. I mean, I also told Saty in the morning, let's watch Dixie today because Dixie is going to tell us. And look at this. Dixie is on like almost it's retesting a monthly high.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's at a clear resistance level right now. Dollar.
Yeah, there are a lot of different market indicators, and we're looking at most of them. I think that's important, especially in times like this where there's a lot of volatility and it's unclear the direction of the market. You definitely, any advantage you can get by looking at those different, for lack of a better word, indicators is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I use it. I'll do another macro section some other day. I think I can do a whole masterclass on macro. It's just so many indicators on breadth and 1,000 other things you need to look at. It's just insane, man. You didn't even need Bloomberg. Everything is on mostly on FinTwit, and you can see these charts and analyze yourself.
Somebody asked why you chose the 4250 contract, if there was a reason why you picked that one.
That's a great question. So let's go back. Right. So two things for me. I'm looking for very cheap contracts, something under $1, because I'm doing a small account growth, right? So the premiums are expensive for anything $500 account, $600 account. I don't want to lose more than, let's say, 1% of the account, right? So, anything more than 5% of the account is super, super risky. But losing $35 for a trade is definitely much less riskier for me. So I was looking for something super, super cheap, and 0.7 seemed to be a really good number. I try to stick something around 0.7 because it's easy to calculate profit targets and it's easy to calculate stop loss. For example, 0.7, 30% profit would be somewhere around $1.2, $1.1. So it's just a matter of preference. There is no reason. Someone with a bigger account can definitely get much closer to the money and possibly make much more because it's percentage, right? So a higher percent of a higher number, a percent of a higher number will yield you more return in terms of dollar. But since we are doing the small account thing, we kind of have to resolve with these hacks with the strikes.
Yeah, makes sense. What do you guys mean by making sure it's in the squeeze? So there's an indicator called TTM squeeze vortex, and you can see it on Drippy's chart. It's the
this one
below its volume, below the volume. Yeah, and it basically has a momentum piece, and it also has these dots that go in the middle. And on his chart, I think they're white when they're in the squeeze. In the traditional version of it, I think it's red, but it's just an indicator. It was an indicator created by John Carter, who's another trader, and it's super useful. I think it's widely adopted at this point. Most people use it at this point, so it's definitely worth a look. And you can find tons of videos on it.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of information, and in the future, me and like other folks, like including Saty, will release more content on that things. But sure. Our goal is to release information which is not there. Something which is already there, it doesn't make sense to keep talking about it because we're not adding anything to it, any value to the community. So our goal is to first add some fresh content so that we can add more value. And we talk about supply demand, we talk about EMAs, we talk about squeeze, but then the main thing is like, how do you conjure up a conviction to execute a trade plan? And my goal has always been to combine these things together to come up with a trade plan. And the more conviction you have, the more you can hold the trade for long. And and as long as you're managing the risk, things will work out for you in the long run. But I think we are exceeding more than an hour here. So should we call it a day, or do you have anything else to talk about?
No, that's it on my end. I think you ended it perfectly. Does anybody have any last minute questions? Maybe the next 2 minutes, and then.
And if you guys don't mind, like, go to the atrlevels.com right now and do me and Saty a favor, please. I mean, he worked so hard for this. He's working day and night. Oh, what happened to this? I think I typed it wrong. Yeah, so go to TradingView and like this. It has 800 likes already, a lot of comments. So we'll really appreciate if you guys can like it and, make it the best indicator. It is, in my opinion, one of the best indicators right now. And it's been, a lot of members actually, they don't even rely on my trades anymore. They stake on it on using this. So it's been game changer.
You're proud options, Papa.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of hard work, and yeah, I really appreciate all the help. He could have charged for this. It's free of cost. And I've seen a lot of people come across throwing their indicators at me and asking me, if it's going to work or not. But there are only a couple of few which come across and I start to use daily. So please do it, folks. Don't hesitate to press that like. I only see one like right now. There are 140 people watching.
We're going to live refresh until it gets to 900. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I'm going to make you watch this until it's 1,000.
And, Drippy has a video that so this is the second live stream we've done. We did another one about a month back that talks about entries and exits using ATR levels. And then you can also check out my YouTube. Just search for Saty ATR levels. You'll find it. And I just recently started adding content to it. So if you want to learn more about how to use Ripster EMAs or Saty ATR levels, you can go to that YouTube site. And Drip and I are going to continue to make content. And of course, anybody who's in the Discord, we talk about this stuff all day long.
Yeah. If you join the Discord, we just share all these ideas there, much more. It's a great community. I really love the members, and this is just like intellectual level communications, helping my trading, and I'm learning from everyone. So it's been awesome so far, and I hope that we'll just grow from here more and more. And let's see. I'm excited about the future for all of us.
Absolutely.
All right, folks. So it's been a pleasure, Saty. Enjoy the rest of your day. And it's been a pleasure to say hi to you guys again on the live stream. And thank you for joining us, taking time today. And love you all. See you. Bye.